Hello and welcome to RM News. Tonight we are pleased to remember a great man on a special show.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there. Martin Luther King was definitely a great man.
He was born the 15th of January 1929 and was an American pastor, activist, humanitarian and an iconic figure and leader of African American civil rights.
He was born Michael, but his father changed it to Martin in honour of the German reformer.
He was a very religious man and used the non-violent ways of his faith to convince people that the inequality between blacks and whites was appalling.
He led several protests, mostly leading to brutal retaliation from the police. However, the most famous thing he did was helping organise the Washington March in 1963, where he delivered the I Have a Dream speech.
You can see in the video behind us how passionate he is about what he's talking about. He uses several references to the Bible and Christianity, saying that God created everyone and everyone to be equal.
The FBI tracked him and looked for communist ties and criminal activity or records for the rest of his life.
The speech he gave on this day gave him a reputation of one of the greatest men in history. Without this man, the world would be a very different place today. He also received a Nobel Peace Prize on the 14th of October 1964 for combating racial equality with non-violence.
He then went on to widen his focus in his later years to include poverty and the Vietnam War. He delivered a speech in 1967 called Beyond Vietnam. This alienated a lot of his allies.
In 1963, Martin Luther King was planning the Poor People's Campaign, but he was assassinated at 6:01 p.m. on the 4th of April in Memphis, Tennessee.
He was standing on his balcony in front of his room at Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. He was sniped without warning.
The .30 caliber rifle bullet entered his right cheek, travelled through his neck and finally stopped at his shoulder blade. He was of course rushed to hospital immediately, but pronounced dead an hour after the attack at 7:05 p.m.
Of course, this caused outrage from the public, with constant violence and controversy, and even murder. Many black people took the streets in riots all around the US. A man named called James Earl Ray, an ex-convict, was arrested, but even some of the King's own family do not believe this man was who killed Martin Luther King.
Although dying over 40 years ago, he is the man who made our world peaceful and united with no judgment of colour or skin. So that's the end of our programme. Please feel free to follow us at RM News.
Or like our Facebook page, RM News Official.
We'd like to thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. Hello and welcome to RM News. Tonight we are pleased to remember a great man on a special show.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there. Martin Luther King was definitely a great man.
He was born the 15th of January 1929 and was an American pastor, activist, humanitarian and an iconic figure and leader of African American civil rights.
He was born Michael, but his father changed it to Martin in honour of the German reformer.
He was a very religious man and used the non-violent ways of his faith to convince people that the inequality between blacks and whites was appalling.
He led several protests, mostly leading to brutal retaliation from the police.